My daughter-in-law is threatening to keep my grandkids away unless I change my will. She tells my son told this, and so I ask my son about it, and he is shocked as he never said it. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am, feeling lost and desperate for advice. I'm 68 years old, and my wife Linda is 65. We've been married for 45 years and have 2 children, our son John, 42, and our daughter Sarah, 39. We've always been a close-knit family, supporting each other through thick and thin. But now, it feels like everything we've built is being threatened. Some background. John has been married twice. His first marriage was to Lisa, his high school sweetheart. They were together for 15 years and had 2 children, Emma, 12, and Jacob, 10. Lisa was a wonderful woman, kind-hearted and full of life. She was a pediatric nurse, and her patients adored her. We loved her like a daughter. 5 years ago, our world was shattered when Lisa was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer. The next 2 years were a blur of hospital visits, chemotherapy sessions, and hope mixed with despair. Through it all, Linda and I tried to be there for John and the kids as much as possible. We practically moved in with them, taking care of Emma and Jacob, while John and Lisa went to doctor's appointments and treatments. Despite everyone's best efforts, Lisa passed away 3 years ago. It was devastating for all of us, but especially for John and the kids. Emma was only 9 at the time, and Jacob was 7. They were old enough to understand what was happening, but too young to fully process it. John was a wreck. He threw himself into his work as a geological surveyor, taking on more remote assignments that kept him away from home for long stretches. During this time, Linda and I stepped up even more. We often had Emma and Jacob stay with us on weekends or during school breaks. We tried to provide stability and love, knowing how hard it was for them to lose their mom. We'd have movie nights, bake cookies together, go on nature walks, anything to keep their spirits up and let them know they were loved. 2 years after Lisa's death, John met Megan, 38, through a mutual friend. She was divorced with 2 children of her own, Olivia, 8, and Ethan, 6. John was hesitant at first, feeling guilty about moving on, but we encouraged him to give it a chance. We could see how lonely he was, and we thought having a partner might help him heal. Megan seemed nice enough when we first met her. She was a kindergarten teacher, which we thought was great since she'd understand children. Her kids were sweet, though understandably a bit shy at first. We tried to welcome them into the family, inviting them to Sunday dinners and including Olivia and Ethan in our activities. With Emma and Jacob. John and Megan dated for about a year before getting married last year. It was a small ceremony, nothing like the big wedding he'd had with Lisa. We could tell he was still carrying a lot of grief, but he seemed happier with Megan in his life. The living situation is a bit complicated. Because of John's job, which often takes him away for 3 to 4 months at a time, John and Megan live separately from us, about an hour away. This arrangement allows Megan to stay close to her job and the kids' schools. When John is away, Megan often brings all 4 kids to visit us, which we've always enjoyed. Things seemed to be going well, or so we thought. There was some tension between the kids at first. Emma and Jacob were used to having us to themselves, and suddenly they had to share with Olivia and Ethan. But we did our best to make everyone feel loved and included. We'd take all 4 kids to the zoo, or have backyard barbecues where everyone could play together. The problem started about 6 months ago. It was subtle at first. Megan began making comments about how all the grandkids should be treated equally. At the time, we didn't think much of it. We assumed she was just trying to make sure Olivia and Ethan felt welcome in the family. But then the comments became more frequent and more pointed. She'd mention how expensive it was to raise 4 kids, or how she was worried about saving for all their college funds. We sympathized. We know raising kids isn't cheap. We even offered to help out more with things like school supplies or extracurricular activities for all 4 kids. Looking back, I think that's when Megan started to see us as a potential solution to her financial concerns. She began asking more questions about our retirement plans, our investments, even our life insurance policies. Again, we didn't think too much of it at the time. We chalked it up to her being worried about the future, especially given John's dangerous job. Last month, everything came to a head. Megan came over for coffee while John was away on a work trip. It was just a regular visit, or so we thought. We were sitting in our sunroom, the same place where we'd had so many heart-to-hearts with John and Lisa years ago. Megan seemed nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. Finally, she took a deep breath and asked us point-blank how we were planning to divide our estate. We were taken aback. It's not something we discuss casually, especially not with our daughter-in-law. But we decided to be honest. We told her that our current plan was to split everything equally between John and Sarah, with the understanding that they would provide for their own children. Megan's reaction was not what we expected. She got very upset, her face turning red as she argued that it wasn't fair to Olivia and Ethan. She said they deserved an equal share with Emma and Jacob. We tried to explain gently that we love all the kids, but Olivia and Ethan have their own grandparents and family to inherit from. That's when things got really heated. Megan told us that John had already agreed that all 4 kids should get equal shares. She claimed he was planning to talk to us about it, but hadn't found the right time. Then she dropped the bombshell. If we didn't agree to change our will, she would limit our access to Emma and Jacob. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. These were the grandchildren we'd helped raise, who we'd comforted through the loss of their mother. The thought of being cut off from them was unbearable. Linda was in tears by the time Megan left, slamming the door behind her. We spent the next few days in a daze, trying to figure out what to do. We couldn't believe John would agree to something like that without talking to us first. It didn't sound like him at all. But then again, people change. Maybe Megan had more influence over him than we realized. Finally, I decided to call John. It took a while to reach him due to his remote location, but I finally got through. I told him about the conversation with Megan and asked if it was true that he wanted us to change our will. John was shocked. He denied ever having that conversation with Megan and said he would never ask us to do that. He was furious that Megan had threatened to keep Emma and Jacob away from us. John promised to talk to Megan as soon as he got home and sort things out. That was 2 weeks ago. John got home a few days ago, and I know he planned to confront Megan about all this. But we haven't heard anything yet, and I'm worried about what might happen. The thought of losing access to Emma and Jacob is killing us. They've already lost their mother. We can't bear the thought of being cut out of their lives, too. I don't know what to do. Should we give in to Megan's demands to keep the peace? Should we stand our ground? Is there a compromise that could work for everyone? The thought of changing our will under duress doesn't sit right with me, but neither does the idea of losing our grandchildren. Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It's been about a week since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped us feel less alone in all this. The day after I made my post, John called us. He had finally had a chance to talk to Megan, and it didn't go well. According to John, when he confronted Megan about her conversation with us and the threats she made, she initially tried to deny it. When John pressed her, she broke down and admitted to everything. Apparently, Megan has been feeling insecure about her place in the family. She said she felt like Olivia and Ethan were always going to be second-class grandchildren because they came into the family later. She also confessed that she's been struggling financially due to her ex-husband not paying child support consistently. This revelation brought back memories of when John first introduced us to Megan. She had seemed so confident then, telling us about her job as a kindergarten teacher and how she was managing as a single mom. We had admired her strength and independence. Now, learning about her financial struggles, I felt a pang of sympathy mixed with frustration at how she had chosen to handle it. John told us he was furious with Megan for lying to us and for threatening to keep Emma and Jacob away. He made it clear to her that she had no right to make decisions about his children's relationship with their grandparents. He also told her that if she ever tried to come between us and the kids again, it would seriously jeopardize their marriage. As John was telling us this, I couldn't help but think back to a conversation we had with him shortly after Lisa passed away. He had been worried about how he would manage as a single dad, especially with his job taking him away so often. We had assured him then that we would always be there for him and the kids, no matter what. It seems that promise is being put to the test now in ways we never imagined. John said Megan seemed remorseful and promised it wouldn't happen again, but he's not sure he fully trusts her right now. He suggested that they go to couples counseling to work through some of these issues. This reminded me of when John and Lisa went through a rough patch early in their marriage. They had gone to counseling then, and it had really helped them. I hope it can do the same for John and Megan. In the meantime, John has assured us that we will continue to have full access to Emma and Jacob. He's actually planning to bring all 4 kids over this weekend so we can spend time together as a family. We're looking forward to it, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit anxious about how it will go. We're relieved that John is on our side in all this, but I'm still worried about the long-term implications. Megan's behavior has really shaken our trust in her, and I'm concerned about how this might affect our relationship with Olivia and Ethan. They're innocent in all this, and we don't want them to feel any less loved or valued. This situation has brought up a lot of memories of Lisa. I keep thinking about how she would handle this if she were still here. Lisa was always so good at bringing people together, at finding compromises when things got tough. I miss her wisdom and her kind heart. My wife and I have been talking about how to move forward. We're considering setting up education funds for all 4 grandchildren as a way to show that we care about all of them without changing our overall estate plans. It's something we had done for Emma and Jacob when they were born, and Lisa had been so touched by the gesture. We're hoping it might be a way to extend an olive branch to Megan while still maintaining our boundaries. We're also thinking about having a family meeting with John and Megan, once things have calmed down a bit, to discuss expectations and boundaries going forward. Clear communication seems more important now than ever. One thing that came out of all this is that we realized we need to update our will anyway. Our current one is several years old and doesn't account for any of the changes in our family situation. We're going to meet with our lawyer next week to start that process. It's not something we're looking forward to. It brings up a lot of difficult emotions and decisions. But we know it's necessary. I'm still processing everything that's happened, and I'm not sure what the future holds for our family dynamics. But for now, I'm just grateful that we'll be able to see Emma and Jacob this weekend. I'm hoping that spending time together as a family might help start the healing process. As I sit here writing this update, I find myself looking at old family photos on the mantelpiece. There's one of John and Lisa on their wedding day, both of them beaming with happiness. Next to it is a more recent one of John with Megan and all 4 kids at a park. I want so badly for everyone in both of those pictures to be happy and at peace. I just hope we can find a way to make that happen. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I wanted to share what's been happening. Things have been complicated, to say the least. The weekend after my last post, John brought all 4 kids over as planned. It was a bit tense at first, but the kids seemed oblivious to the adult drama and just enjoyed playing together. Seeing Emma and Jacob again was wonderful, and spending time with Olivia and Ethan reminded us how much we care for them too, despite the issues with their mother. As we watched the kids play in the backyard, I was struck by how much Emma looks like Lisa. She has the same bright smile and infectious laugh. It made me think of all the family gatherings we used to have when Lisa was alive. There was always so much laughter and joy. I found myself hoping we could somehow recapture that spirit, despite all the changes and challenges our family has faced. Megan didn't come with them that day. John said she was giving us space, but I suspect she was too embarrassed to face us. We didn't push the issue. We were just happy to have time with the grandkids. Still, her absence was noticeable, and I couldn't help but wonder how we would move forward from here. A week later, we had the family meeting we'd been planning. John, Megan, Linda, and I all sat down together to clear the air. We chose to have the meeting at our house, in the living room where we've had so many family discussions over the years. It felt appropriate somehow, like we were drawing on the strength of our family history to help us through this difficult time. It was a tense and emotional conversation, to say the least. Megan apologized for her behavior, saying she had let her insecurities and financial worries get the better of her. She swore she never really intended to keep the kids from us, and that she regretted ever saying that. As she spoke, I could see the mixture of shame and fear in her eyes. It reminded me of when Sarah, our daughter, had come to us as a teenager after making a big mistake. We had been angry then, but we had also understood the fear and regret behind her actions. We told Megan how hurt we were by her actions, and how it had damaged our trust in her. Linda, usually the more reserved of us, spoke up strongly about how devastating it had been to think we might lose access to Emma and Jacob. She talked about how we had been there for them through the loss of their mother, and how the thought of being cut out of their lives was unbearable. We also talked about the inheritance issue. We explained our reasoning for our current plans and listened to Megan's concerns. In the end, we came to a compromise. We're going to set up education funds for all 4 grandchildren, as we had been considering. We're also going to include provisions in our will to ensure that if anything happens to John, there will be resources specifically designated for Olivia and Ethan's care. It's not the equal split Megan initially demanded, but she seemed satisfied with this solution. John remained mostly quiet during this part of the discussion, but he did reiterate to Megan that she needs to address inheritance issues for Olivia and Ethan with her ex-husband's family as well. I could see the strain on his face as he spoke. It reminded me of how he looked during Lisa's illness, torn between different responsibilities and worries. We also set some ground rules for the future. We made it clear that any issues or concerns should be discussed openly and honestly, without threats or manipulation. We emphasized that all 4 grandchildren are important to us, but that doesn't mean everything has to be exactly equal all the time. It was a difficult conversation, but I felt like we were finally starting to communicate honestly with each other. Since that meeting, things have been better, but not perfect. Megan has been making an effort to be more inclusive, often offering to bring Olivia and Ethan over when she brings Emma and Jacob to visit. We appreciate the gesture, but sometimes it feels a bit forced. I can't help but compare it to how natural and easy things were with Lisa. But then I remind myself that it's not fair to make that comparison. Every family dynamic is different, and we need to give this new arrangement time to find its own rhythm. John and Megan have started couples counseling. John says it's helping them communicate better, but he's also confided in me that he's still struggling to fully trust Megan after what happened. He's committed to making their marriage work, especially for the kids' sake, but I can tell it's been tough on him. It brings back memories of when he and Lisa went through a rough patch early in their marriage. They had come out stronger for it, and I hope the same will be true for John and Megan. As for us, we're trying to move forward. We've had several good visits with all the grandkids, and we're making an effort to build stronger relationships with Olivia and Ethan. It's not always easy. There's still an undercurrent of tension sometimes, but we're doing our best. Last weekend, we took all 4 kids to the local science museum. Watching them explore the exhibits together, their eyes wide with wonder, reminded me of why we're working so hard to keep this family together. We met with our lawyer and have started the process of updating our will. It's forcing us to have some difficult conversations about the future, but I think it's necessary. As we went through our assets and discussed various scenarios, I found myself thinking about the legacy we want to leave behind. It's not just about money or property. It's about the values we want to pass on to our grandchildren. One positive outcome of all this is that it's brought Linda and me closer together. We've spent many late nights talking about our family, our hopes, and our fears. It's reminded me of the early years of our marriage, when we would stay up dreaming about our future together. Now our dreams are focused on our children and grandchildren, but that sense of partnership and shared purpose is stronger than ever. I'm still not sure what the long-term effects of all this will be on our family. There's a part of me that wonders if we'll ever fully get past it. The trust that was broken isn't easily repaired, and I find myself watching Megan more closely than I'd like to admit. But then I see moments of genuine affection between her and John, or I watch her patiently helping Jacob with his homework, and I'm reminded that people are complex. We all make mistakes, and we all deserve the chance to make amends. Last night, Emma called us out of the blue. She just wanted to chat about her day at school and tell us about a book she's reading. As I listened to her excited chatter, I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. Despite all the drama and uncertainty, we still have these precious connections with our grandchildren. For now, we're taking it one day at a time and focusing on what's most important, being there for all of our grandchildren. We're trying to create new family traditions that include everyone. Next month, we're planning a big family camping trip. It's something we used to do with John and Sarah when they were kids, and we're hoping it will be a chance for everyone to bond and create some positive memories. As I write this, I'm sitting in our backyard, watching the sun set. The tire swing that John used to play on as a child is still hanging from the old oak tree. Now, it's where Emma and Jacob, and sometimes Olivia and Ethan, play when they visit. It's a reminder that while things change, there's also continuity. Our family has been through tough times before, and we've always come out stronger. I have to believe we'll do the same this time. I don't know what the future holds for our family. There are still many unresolved issues and hurt feelings to work through, but I do know that we'll face whatever comes next together, with love and patience. After all, that's what family is all about.